Alright, here we are back with the Pentium Pro system. I've got the cover on actually right now. You can actually see I made an improvement to the cover. If you remember, there was a giant gaping hole right here, and I've covered that up with paper. So that way there is now no longer a giant gaping hole. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to adjust this faceplate because the cover is not going on quite correctly. It is screwed in, but it's not lipping into this plastic. It's also very likely that this plastic has shrunk a little bit. But what we're going to do in this video is install the operating system, because now I hopefully have a camcorder that will last the entirety of this video. I don't like the fact it says 21 minutes. I might need more than that to do this, but we're going to try this. And we're going to install something completely different that will require the use of the CD-ROM, which, if you remember, I didn't have the caddy for it. Well, now I've got the caddy for it. So if you've never actually seen a CD caddy before, this is what it looks like. This is what they used to use for CD-ROM drives before they had trays. There are some other different types as well, but the caddy was the single most popular. And the way you open these is you squeeze the tabs on the sides, and this just opens up like that and allows you to put your disc in, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my disc in here, and this probably isn't going to actually work because I don't even know if this drive works. We'll go ahead and we'll insert the caddy. Well, it took it. I'll take the floppy disk, I'll put that in there. Yeah, not sure if it's actually working. It's flashing 3 times. Yeah, it seems like it's not going to work. So I might have to change that drive. It must just not like this disk. This is a rewritable disk, so that's probably why it's not going to work. And yes, it's a burned copy of an operating system. Can't wait to see the comments on that one, but like, who cares? Well, that kind of stinks. I can't get that drive, this one, the Toshiba, to work for love nor money. So I think the drive might just be bad. So I'm just going to use a random IDE drive. Hopefully it's detected. I am going to go ahead and put the first boot floppy into the drive. And we'll power it on. Hopefully I'm not standing in the way. It won't be in the way of anything. And you can see that. Seriously? The drive is stuck. Well, I'll show you how we'll deal with that. Works every time. Just don't do that to a nice computer. And this is an RW drive, so I should be able to use that disk. It is detected. Hitachi LG. Press F1 to continue. The Adaptec BIOS will ring in. Should see 2 devices. I still have the other CD-ROM plugged in. Western Digital and Toshiba. Good. Okay. Okay, so we are now booting the floppy. What are we going to install? Setup is inspecting your computer's hardware configuration. Windows NT. This is not NT4 either. This is actually Windows NT 3.51. Which I've never actually used on physical hardware. I did do a test install on a virtual machine with a similar configuration to what this is, and was able to get through it with everything you see here. Well, not so much the diskettes. I don't know if the diskettes work, and I also don't know if the disk works. We've already determined that we have a bad optical drive, so I've already modified the configuration somewhat, because I'm using a standard IDE optical drive instead of the SCSI one. I'm hoping that having both isn't going to mess it up. It's almost like this is not running in turbo, but this computer doesn't support turbo. Okay. So, eject disk 1, insert disk 2. If I were to do this completely from floppy, and I could, but it'd be 22 floppies, and I don't really have a way to write those because some of those are DMF formatted. And those stupid lobotomized USB things that everyone has, which is all I've got here, I took my floppy drive writing machine elsewhere. Well, it's just not going to work. So, uh-oh. That doesn't sound good. Yeah. No, I don't need that anyway. That's a PCMCIA driver that I don't have on this system. But that one is kind of important. I might have to remake this disk. Let's try the next one. Those were verified working, so I don't know what the deal is here. Constantly having problems with this machine. I cannot get away from issues. Now, let's try to boot. NT 3.51, build 1057, multiprocessor kernel. You probably can't read any of that because the font is so small, but there's not much I can do about it. If I bring this camcorder any closer, it's going to interfere with me and I'll be bumping it all over the place. Yeah, we're having problems. I might have to remake that disk. Or maybe that floppy drive doesn't actually work. Yeah, unknown hard error. We have to stop. Restart and set recovery options. Okay, I'm going to have to remake that disk, I think. Well, it still had trouble getting through it, but this is now the 4th different disk I've tried, so I made it work. Setup now. Express setup. I just don't care. Now we want disk 3. Okay, we'll eject that. And we'll see what kind of problems disk 3 is going to give me. Enter to continue. Let's go. Frustration abound. I've never had so many problems with floppy disks. These are brand new, so I don't understand what the issue is. They're formatted. They've been reformatted twice. Yeah. Okay. Go tech time it is. This is ridiculous. Okay, this is getting kind of... Actually, I'm going to use the word. This is getting retarded. I haven't touched anything with the optical drive. And now every time it goes to try and detect it, with or without a GoTech installed, it just crashes the machine like that. Like Will I ever, in the history of ever, have a computer project that doesn't do something completely retarded at some point during the video? I don't get it. I don't. I just don't. This was working before. You saw it working before. Nothing's changed. Nothing's moved. And yet, here we are. Did the cable come loose or something? No. The cable is not loose. Well, it might be. Try it again. Don't believe it is. But, my God. I can't win. Oh, this is so stupid. Are you going to test the RAM again, or is that it? Are you going to test the RAM again? No, you're not going to waste my time. Oh, now it works. Sure, okay, whatever you say. Yeah, let me go get my USB stick for this damn GoTech, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if it'll actually be able to start. Okay. Now, you can maybe barely see it, but the GoTech has a USB in it now. Let's see what happens this time. This is an AHA 2940, if that matters. Probably not. Let's see if it'll actually boot to that. Nope. I guess maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Ugh. Well, it took a lot of strife, but I think the GoTech is actually working now. Yeah, it seems to be able, or it seems to actually be functioning now. So, hopefully, with any luck, that'll actually work. And we can finally move past the floppy disk portion of setup. Because I even tried going to another floppy drive, and even that didn't work, with brand new disks that are brand new out of the package. So this thing just does not want to take a floppy, and I don't really know why. Probably among the same reasons as the camera doesn't want to focus. But I'll let that load, and then I'm going to go, well, actually I'll put the camera back on the tripod, and we'll keep going. I'll put disc 3 on this, and we'll get it set up. Okay. See that flashing there? It does seem like it's actually working. Now, if I were smart, I'd have my laptop out here set up with WinImage, so I can actually write the floppy images out here, but, well, guess what? I'm not that smart. So, we'll do that, and then it's going to ask for disk 3, so let's go make disk 3. Now, we're not out of the woods yet, because this machine has an Adaptec 2940 UW in it. Now, I had thought yeah, so I don't think it's actually going to find my SCSI. That's a little annoying. And I don't think I've got an NT 3.51 driver for the Adaptec 2940. Now, fortunately, what I do have, if I can find it, what I do have is an Adaptec 1540. It is an ISA card, and using it in here is kind of a waste. But if that's what it's going to take to get that working, I'd rather put this in here because I'm wasting an ultra-wide connector on it right now. But I might see if I can potentially find the 2940 UW driver for Windows NT. But I don't know that I'm going to have much luck because it was not on Vogons, and if it's not on Vogons, then I don't know. I mean, maybe the RetroWeb will have it, but who knows? Well, I had no luck finding a 2940 driver, so I just went ahead and I took the 2940 out, and I stuck the 1540 in, and now we'll see what happens. I also installed the GoTech, not completely. I have to plug it in. Otherwise it won't work very well if you don't plug it in. Well, let's see if it blows up. Nope. It'll be interesting to see if the Adaptec card actually works. Please don't give me a resource conflict. Oh. Well, we're back at that problem. There we go. Every time. Okay, 1540 CF. Good. It detects both drives. Perfect. Okay, now boot to my floppy drive. which is what it's doing right now. So now I gotta get through this process again. Well, it's a little bit of a different reaction, but I don't know if it's a good one, because you see it's sitting at Adaptec 15.4x, but the problem is the light on the card is just flashing. Just like that. You can probably just barely see that in there, but there is a light on that card that is flashing, and it's been doing that for almost a minute now, so I don't think that's going to work any better. I guess the SCSI is going to be completely coming out of this, and I'll be putting IDE. Now, there's a silver lining in that cloud, which I'll get into in just a bit. But that's really kind of annoying, because this is a Pentium Pro, and a Pentium Pro really probably ought to have SCSI in it, something nice like SCSI, but it looks like that's just not going to work out in this case, because I don't have any other cards. That's the option I've got. So, I mean, I'll give it a little bit more time, but I don't think that's going to work. Well, it did actually finally work. I'm glad that I didn't stop it. But that took a long time. That's kind of weird. And I don't see any driver for the network. Or I didn't before. So I'm going to assume, and I'm going to hope that it's on the CD-ROM. Or if it's not on the CD-ROM, I mean, at this point I don't think it would be trying to load the network anyway, because we're not at that point of setup. But I've got everything I need now. I have the Adaptec and I've got all of that. So we're going to hit enter to continue. I'm going to load a couple of device drivers. And this is the part where this would kind of go off the rails a little bit, and that's the partitioning part. I think that's what we're working on right now. Right now it's loading NTFS into memory. This is going to take a while, because this took a while even on the emulator. And the GoTech, I don't think is any faster. I think it's still the same speed as a CD-ROM. Okay, enter to use a CD-ROM. Yes, I would like to use a CD-ROM. It's going to load the CD-ROM driver, CDFS. Setup did not find any hard disk drives installed in your computer. Okay, so we do have a problem still. So I guess I'm going to be taking that hard drive out of here and putting in a different one, moving to IDE. And in the process, I'm going to take that optical drive out too, and I'm going to just put the CD-ROM drive in place. So, kind of a shame, but maybe it's for the better. I'm not wasting that Adaptec 1540 on this thing, because I'd rather use that on an older computer that's ISA only. So, I will be right back thanks to the magic of video editing, and we will return with setup once again. Okay, you'll notice the computer's a lot quieter. It's also a lot later. It's like 10 o'clock now. I have no sunlight. So I need to get this done, hopefully sooner rather than later. I ran into a snag with the optical drive, but I think we're past that, because as you can see, it is detected, along with a 2.0 gigabyte IDE hard drive. Now, is this going to work? Good question. We're going to find out. I'm going to take my USB stick here, put it back into the GoTech. And we'll hit F1 to continue. No Adaptec. SCSI adapter, it is booting off the floppy. Well, the GoTech, the USB floppy drive. And here we are. So at this point, I should be able to just get this working, and I was smart this time, and I actually have my laptop here, and it is going to allow me to change out all of these drives, or change out the drain image on the fly, hopefully, if it actually works. I did see a device driver load down there for a 294X PCI, so I'm surprised it didn't pick up the Adaptec 2940. But who knows, maybe there's something slightly wrong with it, maybe it needs to be at a specific IRQ, I don't know, but this is the point that we were at last time. I don't know, I didn't see something show up here, so I don't know if it's going to detect my hard drive. This is an Intel chipset, so it should be fairly standardized. But who knows? Let's see what's going to happen. If this doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do. Might just get Windows 98 at that point. Put the SCSI back in and... Well, no, I've already gone to the trouble of removing it. Now I don't want to put it back in because that's just going to be a pain. Okay, install it from CD-ROM. Let's see what it does next. Setup has determined, this is good, that your computer startup disk is new or has been erased, or that an operating system is installed where it can't coexist, blah, blah, blah. I do want to hit C to continue because there's no partition space. Now, this is what I am talking about when I was talking about problems with drives. The way that Windows NT, at least 3.51, and I think 4.0 as well, the way that they work, the way that the setup works on this, even though they will support NTFS and you can install it to NTFS, the way that it works is it'll format it as a FAT file system first and convert it during the first boot to NTFS. The problem with FAT is that it is limited to 2 gigabytes in size. That's why I chose a 2 gigabyte hard drive as opposed to like a 2.1 or something. Although I think the 2.1 would have worked because you do lose a little bit of space in shipping and gouging and taxes and all that stuff. But I should be able to just create a partition, maximum size. I should be able to install to this. We'll click Format as NTFS. I hear noise. My hard drive LED is not working, but it could just be because I have it backwards. Huh, why is my hard drive LED not working? Did I plug it in the wrong place? No. Is it backwards? Yeah, it was backwards. Okay. So now it's going to format. It's going to do a full format on this. Hopefully it makes it through. Okay, so fully formatted. That's another reason why you don't really want to do this on a large drive, because it just takes forever. So we'll install it here. Just use the default. And this is the part where this might go off the rails. Well, it spun up the CD-ROM, so it knows it's there. Alright, checking drive C. Copying files, and it's reading from the CDs, so we are good on that front. And that's going really fast. Look at that. So much faster than the floppy. Which I probably could do on this GoTech thing, but I would have to find a way to format my USB stick to work with it. Because right now it's just 1.44, and a lot of the floppies for NT 3.51, those are, what do they call that format? DMF, I think? 1.6 meg, so that wouldn't actually work, so I'd have to figure something out on that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the USB out of the GoTech, pull the floppy out of the drive, as it asks, and press enter to restart. Now we'll go on to the second part of setup. And I just realized I have no PS2 mouse plugged in. So that's going to be painful. I don't think hot plugging it's a good idea. I'm actually going to go ahead and just cut the power. That is the power supply fan that's making that noise, by the way. So nothing serious. And we'll turn it back on. Shouldn't hurt anything because it hadn't started yet. Skip the memory test. We don't need to have that. My very dirty mouse should now work. Optical drive is still there. I will have to change that Dallas module. Okay, here we are. Anti-detect version 1.0, checking hardware. I think what it's going to do first is it's going to convert this to NTFS. I think that's the first thing it does. Or maybe it gets all the way through setup. I don't remember. Alright. Here we go. We have some icons. Okay, so we're going to actually get through setup first. Okay, we'll put in this information, which is totally legitimate. Sure. It's going to probably ask me for a CD key. Nope. Sure. English, United States is good. Set up a printer. If there's no printer, just choose cancel. No local printer, we can set that up later. That might be interesting to set up. Setup is preparing network card choices. Okay. There it is, deck chip 21041, it found it. Connection type AutoSense. I'm going to find my network, my Ethernet cable for my wireless bridge setup that's out here. I'm going to plug that in, if I don't drop the cable all over the place. Is it working? Is that system actually on down there? It should be. Unless I unplugged it just now. Oh, it is off. No, it's not. It's perfectly on. So it's not detecting. Uh-oh. Well, actually, it might not because it hasn't set the link up yet. So we'll just try AutoSense. Or the other what options does it give me? Twisted pair, full duplex. Let's just do AutoSense and we'll see what happens. Nothing really happened. Nope, nothing really happened, so it's not really connected. I'm going to install TCP/IP and nothing else. Continue. I might need to get a switch out here for that to actually work, or a better cable. But I did see the network adapters, so that's good. Now we're going to be installing more stuff. Alright, so DHCP automatic. I do want to enable DHCP. I'm not going to touch any of the other settings. Setup is starting the network. Well, there's an activity light. I do see an activity light. Whether or not it's actually going to work is a different question. It might have, though. So work group should just be work group. I'm not going to set it to anything else. Configuring hardware options. Now we're setting up the program manager. I'm going to have to install the display driver, and I think I'm going to have to do that separately because I don't think this has a driver for the 3D Rage 2, what they call an inbox driver for the 3D Rage 2. Okay, enter a password. Let me do that off camera, of course. Okay, so I did that. We're now at this point. MS-DOS editor, sure. Like I said, I did see some activity on that. Okay, 6/28/26. 10:57. Is it really that late already? 10:26. So no, not quite. And no, it's not the 28th. Today is actually July 5th. 7/5/26. See if we can do this. Eastern time. Automatically adjust, sure. I mean, it's not going to matter. 10:26 p.m. That should be good. Alright, we found the following display adapter. VGA compatible. Let's just see what we have for options. Okay, we can't change it during setup. Alright. So we'll hit OK. Because that's fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. Saving a configuration. Funny enough, actually takes longer than reading from the CD-ROM. It's definitely amusing. Alright. Setup can create an emergency repair disk, which will contain a copy of repair information. Do you want to? Honestly, sure, why not? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert the USB stick. We'll hit yes. Label a floppy with this and insert it into A. Setup disk may not be used. Insert a different disk. Okay, well I'm going to have to format it. And that might be interesting. The setup disk may not be... Are you kidding? I formatted it. Okay. Let's try again. Okay. There you go. Formatting disk. So now it's actually working. And then I'll be able to read that into an image later. It is actually working. You can probably see right there. The green light is just the same as the access light on a normal floppy drive. And you can see it's writing to my USB thumb drive. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know when that finished. So, remove disks from floppy drives. I'm going to leave the CD and the CD-ROM for the time being. But we're going to go ahead and reboot. And now is the point where it should convert my disk to NTFS. And it'll probably reboot a second time. Oh. Yeah. Okay. One system processor, 65408 kilobytes. Okay. Type of file system is FAT. There's your serial number, which doesn't really mean anything to me. Alright. Converting to NTFS. Free space is pretty much the whole drive. We need about 8 kilobytes free to do the conversion. So now it is converting the file system. Might be able to hear it clicking away in the background there. Alright, and it rebooted automatically, which is what I expected it to do. I just kicked the case cover. Oh, I don't want to wait for 30 seconds. Well, my camcorder is now running out of battery. So, I don't know how long this is going to go. Okay, setting security. Type of file systems NTFS, good. So it's now doing the last little bit of setup right now. Alright, here we are in glorious 16 colors. Press Control Alt Delete to log on. Now, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm not sure if it does anything special. The time or date is invalid. Really? Wonder if it just can't handle that. So, oh, no, it's not in there. No mouse or other pointing device, but yet clearly I have a PS2 mouse working just fine. Alright, so that's high quality. So, let's see if I remember how to do this on Windows NT 3.51. I think it's under display here. Yes. So we want to do this. Change display type. What options do we get? VGA compatible. ATI. Funny enough, that card that was in here before would actually probably work just fine. Yeah. No, the card that I have in here right now is a 3D charger, so I don't see a driver, so I'm going to have to, if I hit other, yeah, I'm going to have to find it elsewhere. So, I think the driver is available. I just have to go ahead and look. It does see the optical drive. I think it will load. I hope it will load. Yeah, so it is there, good to go. So I just have to go find that driver. And I think while I do that, I'm going to go charge the camcorder battery. Okay, we'll give the official drivers a try. I can't envision this working. Oh, why is it trying to read from the A drive? No, ATI play, ATI setup.exe. Let's try running that. Okay, easy install. No NT 3.51. Really? Because that's what we're running right now. Well, that was a fail. Okay, so I guess that's just not going to work. So we'll turn this off, because that's the next option, is to just turn it off. And I'm going to put a different video card in here, because I think I've got a Mach 64 sitting around. Okay. Watch this not work. Nope, of course not. Okay, we'll wiggle it. Reset. There we go. Okay. Font's a little different. I did notice that. It's a Mach 64. I don't know what kind of Mach 64 it is. Copyright 1994 ATI Technologies. But there should be an inbox driver for this, or well, maybe not so much an inbox driver, but a driver on the actual CD. Invalid system time? Sure, whatever you say. I mean, we could see what the control panel thinks the date and time is. I guess it thinks it's 1926? Anyway, display. Change display type. I want to change this. It's an ATI card. Now, it's a Mach 64 of some kind. The only option I get is a 64GX. So let's try it. And see what happens. Drivers were successfully installed. Can't be started dynamically, which is fine. We'll go ahead and we'll reboot now. And we'll see if that is what this card is. I don't know if it is. It just says PCI Mach 64 on it. And there's a couple of different kinds of Mach 64. I think that Wind Turbo option that also showed up on here was also a Mach 64. Or it used the same processor, graphics processor, as the Mach 64, but I don't know. I think I might have a Wind Charger somewhere that I got in that box of cards that I picked up recently. But obviously I can't go over and get it now because it's after 11 o'clock. I'd like to have this done because, like I said, it's after 11, it's a work night. It's probably going to tell me that a device driver failed to start, which is fine. That 3D, what is that 3D Rage 2 I put in here on the basis that I was going to be installing Windows 98. Since I didn't install Windows 98, well, timer date is invalid. A new graphics driver has been installed. A new mode will be tested. We'll test it. 640 by 480. Looks okay. Looks okay to me. Now, it didn't say anything about a failure, so I think it might have actually worked. And this looks like it's a different color now, the background. So I think it might have actually worked. So lesson learned, Mach 64 GX is the driver to use for these PCI Mach 64s, apparently. And I've got a lot of these cards. Like, I have a ridiculous number of these cards. It's, well, ridiculous. I mean, it really is. I have a stupid number of these cards. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this disc in a case so that it doesn't get damaged. Let's see if we're running in high color mode now. The other thing to check is going to be the network to see if we actually have an IP address. I don't know, I doubt it very highly. But you never know. I didn't set the gateway or anything else. So I might have to set that before it will actually pick up an IP address. But I did see some activity on the back of my computer over there. Interestingly, it doesn't look like there's any activity LEDs on that Ethernet card. Yeah, you can see there we're running in high color mode now. Alright, that's really annoying. So, you know what I'm going to set this to? Watch this. Date and time. We're going to set it to 1996. How about that? Now, I do want the display resolution to go up. I think 1280 by 1024 is what this monitor will support. No, that's not going to work. No. So let's try backing that down a little bit. 256 color. No, it still can't do that. No. Is this why? Let's try that. Okay, that works. I'm going to go ahead and select no anyway. And try cranking that back up. We'll see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Well, it's a little bit off. Did you see the test bitmap? Yes. So we'll go ahead and we'll restart, and now is when it probably won't work. Eject that disk, because we don't really need it anymore. If it'll eject. There we go. And I think we are finally done. I think we have finally gotten to a point where there's nothing else to really see here. I'm going to go ahead and put the screw back in that video card. Yeah, it does look a little weird. I think I'm going to set it to 1024 by 768. Yeah. No, I think it's actually fine. Let me go ahead and run the auto adjust procedure. Yeah, it's fine. It's just half off the screen because... Yeah, okay. It just needed to be auto-adjusted. So now we are good. We are running in high resolution mode. Now the interesting thing is, I wonder if you can change the system color? You can. Oh, you can't be serious. Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna leave that because that's great. That's I didn't think that something, an operating system that took itself so seriously would have such a silly color scheme on it, but it does. Now, the other interesting thing about this, I don't know that this actually would let me do this. Desktop. Do I have any wallpapers to choose from? I do have a few. No, that wasn't the one I wanted. Yeah, that'll work. Can I tile that? What would that look if I were to tile that? That's good. I think that'll work. There you go. So we are running Windows NT 3.51 on physical hardware for the first time ever, at least for me. I've never done this before. Used it in a VM plenty of times, but there's that. It's also my first time using a Gotek flash floppy drive in a computer, and I must say it's so much more reliable than a real floppy drive, if my experiences with real floppy drives throughout the course of this video is any indication. So I think a lot of my builds going forward are going to get Gotex. Obviously there is still a need for real floppies, and I do still like that idea. I am kind of a purist, which is the reason why I didn't just go for a compact flash solution for a drive and something like this. I like my spinning rust, and I like my floppy drives, but sometimes there's a time and a place for just having something working. And after going through so many floppy drives and so many diskettes on this project, well, with the Gotek it just worked. So I think that's more than good enough for me. Now, is there anything... Oh, I wanted to check if I had a network interface. No, that's fine. I don't need that. How would you do that on this? Windows NT Diagnostic, User Manager, Applications, Accessories. I wonder how you would actually do that on here. Can you do IP config? Well, yeah, it's got an address. So cool, it actually works. Default gateway, IP address. Now DNS probably doesn't work, but that's fine. If I really wanted to set up DNS, I'd set up Google DNS on this, but we are getting an IP address, so the network would be working. So I think my next step on this is going to be to, you know, get a web browser on here and get this thing online. Why not? So we're going to go ahead, for now I'm just going to shut it down because the mosquitoes are rampant and everything else is just rampant. There's an earwig down there. So I'm sharing the night with critters, and I need to get to bed anyway, because I obviously have to go to work later on today. So that is it for the video. I would like to thank you for watching. Even through all of the nonsense that I engaged in, and all of the trials and tribulations and strife, but we are finally here. It's always nice when a project comes together and you don't have to write it off completely. See my Craftsman 486 attempt and all that other stuff. I'm still disappointed about that, but there's not much you can do. Sometimes things just don't work out. But this worked out just fine. But for now, good night, computer. We'll see you on the next one. Should probably do something about that fan, but... well, it's not the only computer with a bad fan in my collection, and it certainly won't be the last.